What's up everyone, Brandon here from Gearist. Today we're going to take a look at the Shield Flash Max jacket from Nike. Every now and then there's a piece of gear that arrives here at Gearist, whether it's a running shoe or a tent or sleeping bag or piece of apparel, something like that that gets here and it's just so perfect, it nails its intended use so well that I feel I need to make a caveat before we kind of get into the meat of the review. Such is the case today with this jacket from Nike that has just nailed exactly what it's meant to do so well that I just think you guys need to know that I'm not gushing to gush because it's Nike or anything like that, because honestly we don't do a lot of Nike, but because it just nails it. But rather than trying to explain that to you kind of in the abstract, let's get into the details of this particular piece. To start out, let's talk about what this thing is made out of. Now, the entire shell of the jacket is made out of Nike's StormFit 5 material. It's a combination of a really breathable laminate and a microfiber polyester. That equates to it being really breathable while you're sweating on the inside and producing moisture, but at the same time completely wind and waterproof from the outside. And this is all kind of wrapped up in a four-way stretch fabric that just moves with you. There are no hindrances, there's no real pulling or anything like that. And again, a four-way stretch fabric, which means it stretches this way and this way. Backing the StormFit fabric on the inside is a layer of DRI-Fit mesh, which we've seen in a lot of different Nike products. This keeps a layer of air, kind of a lighter layer against your body, right up against the skin, so that when you do begin to sweat and produce that moisture, the jacket isn't socked up against you and kind of sticking to you. This is a really great thing that we've seen in a lot of other running jackets here and there, but Nike's DRI-Fit mesh, which they have incorporated here, is a really good option for that. Keeps you nice and kind of separated from the stickiness that could be you kind of pasted to the jacket. Probably the biggest standout feature of this jacket, which you saw a hint of right at the top of this review, is its exterior. Now, each one of these dots, I'll kind of walk a little closer to the camera, there are hundreds and probably thousands of little dots all over this jacket, and each of those little dots is reflective. Rather than just kind of being a highlight here or there, these dots cover every single inch of this jacket. And just so we can see it under some low light and in kind of a headlighty, flashlighty situation, here's me in the dark. And this, my friends, is what it looks like with the lights on. So if you're heading into a vehicle, whether it's a flashlight like what we're using right here to kind of isolate the reflection of this, or if it's the headlights of a vehicle, pretty much any vehicle. I've even seen this under the headlights of a bicycle lamp, and it freaking lights up like this, like crazy. All the way around, you can see all the way around. I mean, the reflection of this thing is absolutely insane, and this light that I'm using right now is actually at low level. So I can turn it up a little bit, but I'm worried that it's gonna light my face too much, but we'll try. So here's what it looks like, and in this case, I've just kind of killed the light that was right behind me. You can see, again, fully lit up. We put this hood up here, fully lit up hood. Look at that. Pretty dope, huh? One of the things that's really cool is if you're running and you're running even in the moonlight, just so low light that this thing just picks it up. And I mean, it's unbelievable. And the entire thing is like this. The only spot that is not, that's on the external areas of the jacket, are the pockets here, which are kind of black. So if you zip those up, that is the only spot that is not reflective. I mean, to be honest, it's really just very shocking. So the reflectivity of this is just flawless. It is unbelievable how well Nike has done with this. Now, while it's going to be hard to move on from that amazing reflectivity that we just saw, we have to move on and talk about the rest of the jacket. The first thing is the zippers. Now first, what good is a really waterproof shell if it's not actually waterproof? They're gaping holes where it should be able to stand up against wind and rain and things like that. The first place we're going to talk about is the main front zipper right here. This zipper is not taped. The only thing that is protecting it is actually another flap of that StormFit 5 fabric that overlays it. Now, I have run in this jacket in rain. I have run in this jacket in snow. And in fact, I stood in this jacket in the rain for, I want to say like 10 minutes or something like that, and did not get wet at all, but I managed to look like a total tool. Now, there are two hand pockets on this jacket, right and left, exactly where you would expect them to be. These are taped, so there's nothing getting into these guys. In fact, when I was out in that rain that I mentioned mentioned a second ago, I put tissue inside there, tissue or toilet paper, one, just to make sure that it wasn't leaking or anything like that. And I took the tissue out totally dry. So these are in fact taped and sealed. Water is not getting in there. Now in the right hand pocket, which we see here, there's a small media port on the inside of that pocket. And right here you can see the actual hole, which is also reflective, where the cable comes out, goes up to your earphones or what have you. That is stretchable because it doesn't feel very big, but I did manage to fit an iPhone 6 in there, no problem, even with a little external case on it. You just have to kind of push it because it's stretchy, so it works out fine. Nothing special particularly about the left-hand pocket. It's the same as the right-hand one. It's just kind of not got the media port on it, and that's pretty much it. Now the hood of this jacket is also completely waterproof and also completely reflective, as we saw a moment ago. This hood is completely adjustable along the back right here in the crown, where you can have it pull it back and around and kind of stick to your head a little more. This is going to make it so that you're not dealing with this flopping down over your eyes. You can pull it back. It's also adjustable right here on the sides to kind of conform to your face a little bit. Yeah, it makes you look like you're kind of doing something in, you know, Tron or something like that, but at the same time, it keeps you nice and comfortable, keeps the wind and water off your head and from running down into the jacket, thus preventing and effectively negating the waterproofness of the shell itself. There's also enough room in the hood to either go over some sort of a beanie or, like you just saw, just on the head, just like that. No problem. And it's actually a rather high neck when you come at it too. Strangely, one of my favorite parts about this jacket is where the sleeves fall on my wrist. Now this is my arm fully extended, you can see here, and it still falls about an inch or two down my hand, which is exactly where I would want it. That is saying something because, to be honest, my shoulders are so wide that when I tend to do this and kind of move my arms around or what have you, the sleeves tend to pull really short a lot of the time on a lot of jackets, but not so in this guy. They're staying exactly where I'd want them to. Nice coverage down there. And much of that I have to attribute to the Raglan sleeves that are on this. Raglan sleeves are basically in a lot of shirts, like you might see on a normal t-shirt, there's going to be an arm's eye, which means there's going to be a seam kind of going all the way around the arm right here. A Raglan sleeve is not like that. It actually attaches up here right around the collar, and it extends on a seam down here and down here. Basically what you would see on something like a baseball shirt or something like that. Sewn directly into the hem of the jacket right about here, right on the right hand side, just below and a little bit behind of that hand pocket, is an internal cord lock. Now what's great about this, it's single hand adjustment. All you gotta do is reach down and pull on it. It tightens up, no big deal, and then you just kind of press on it to get it to release. Really nice, and it's not like an external plastic piece that's flapping around or anything like that. Just a little bit of cord sticking out. And finally, and for some, this is gonna be kind of a big deal because if you're like me, you sweat a lot. You've got this great breathable shell, but sometimes even it can't keep up with you. So what you've got here along the back is a flap that kind of covers just below the shoulder blades. Now there is an inch or more, probably an inch, inch and a half, it's hard to really tell because the fabric bends and moves, of overlap, so that this bottom layer sticks up under this overlayer. So again, even when I was standing out in the rain looking like a dummy, this thing kept me dry. There was no rain or anything that got into it. So it occurred to me that at this point in the review, you've heard me tell you exactly about how this works, what it's built of, you know, how it functions and kind of some things like that. But I think that this is one of those pieces, as I mentioned at the outset, that is so good you don't really truly notice. I mean, you can look at it and you're like, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, until you put it on and then you're like, whoa. First, let me just say that a lot of you guys ask about this from time to time, what size jacket I'm wearing. Now this is a size large, men's size large, fits me absolutely perfectly. Usually I wear a size large, so this is exactly what I wear, but sometimes, particularly in running stuff, those things can be a little snug or what have you. This fits extremely well. It's not tight, but it falls so nicely and just rests on your body so nicely that you kind of forget you have it on. And again, as I mentioned a second ago, part of the reason on my arms and particularly down by the wrists where that sleeve just hits so perfectly, I have to again attribute to those Raglan sleeves, but the fabric and the way that it feels on you, there is no pulling across the shoulders or anything like that, and it just lays nicely on the body. Also, back to the hood for a second. What's great about this is that sometimes you'll get a running jacket where the hood is just a simple, very thin piece of ripstop. And that's fine, I'm not knocking that, it does what it's meant to do. In this case, this is the same material as the shell. In fact, it's still got that DRI-Fit mesh on the inside of this hood, which means that it also lays very, very gently on the body and keeps you very comfortable. It also means that it wicks moisture and remains breathable should you decide to tighten it down a little bit. What's ideal about the fit for me with this is that it's not that super skinny Euro fit. It's also not a billowy windbreaker. This is a very well-fitting jacket. It fits me exactly where I want it to. On the Nike website here and there's some people that have said in kind of the review section below the jacket itself that it runs a little small. I don't find that at all, and in fact I find it to fit just perfectly. There is nothing that I can complain about with regard to the sizing and the fit of this jacket. Now, I've not just worn this when there's a long sleeve layer underneath. I've actually worn this with just like a cut-off sleeve shirt, like a muscle shirt, underneath it, because the temperature was such that that's kind of what I needed to do that day. And even against totally bare skin, it just feels so good and doesn't stick to you, which really is just very astounding to me. And this is not the lightest jacket in the world. It's still very light. Comes in at 16.2 ounces, but it just lays so nicely that you honestly forget you have it on. I mean, it just works so well with you. So how did the Nike Shield Flash Max jacket perform? Well, let's break it down into some different segments. First, rain. As I mentioned a second ago, I stood out in the rain for 10 minutes, tissues in my pockets, just kind of standing there like this with the hood up. I did not get wet at all, except for like my hands where the water would run down and onto my hands, and then my legs got a little wet. But you can't blame that on the jacket. So I stayed totally dry in the rain. It was astounding. I mean, you can feel the coolness of the water because after all, when I did that, it was December in Colorado. But it was amazing. Now, what about in snow? Well, snow running is something that I absolutely adore. It's really just very exhilarating, and I had the opportunity to do that quite a bit in this jacket so far this year. Again, we are in winter months as I speak to you, so there is a need here and there for some base layers or something to be under this jacket to keep you sufficiently warm. As I mentioned a second ago, this is not that super skinny Euro fit where you're gonna be like plastered to your skin without even having anything on under there, but there's plenty of room for a against the skin base layer, which is really nice. I've worn several different things under this. I've actually worn this down to, I want to say like 6 or 7 degrees with varying base layers underneath, and it has performed really well. And the key thing to that is keeping that wind off the body so that when you begin to produce that moisture from sweat or what have you, you're not really just freezing up with it. But what about when it's sunny but still chilly, which is a lot of what we get here in Colorado. In a place that has reportedly 300 days of sunshine in a year, we do have those days where it might be 20 degrees outside or much colder, but still sunny. What's great about this jacket that I found, and this is something that is not necessarily unique to this jacket with the ability to unzip it and things like that, but is the general ventilation. That StormFit 5 fabric does a great job of allowing the body to breathe when you're standing in the sun. It's a little warmer, but then as you go into the shadow of a mountain or into some alpine forest or something like that, your ability to zip up and then kind of seal yourself back out is really something that is exemplary of what we're working with here. And now the biggie, what does it do in the dark? Well, you guys have seen me standing in this now in the dark a couple of times. To be honest, unless you're wearing something that is battery powered with LEDs all over it, which probably weighs about 10 pounds, there really isn't anything that is directly competitive to the amount of reflectivity you get with this. We're going to be taking a look at some other pieces that are super reflectable as well coming up here pretty soon, but this really takes the cake in the amount of sheer area of reflectivity on the jacket. So in the dark, I mean, it's just amazing, you know what I'm saying? And what's honestly really strange is that if there's a car or something coming towards you, you don't notice the thing lighting up, but it does. I mean, it's just amazing how much it lights up. As I said at the top of this review, there are pieces that come into the Gearist headquarters and you know, we get them and they just nail exactly what they're meant to do so well that it's astounding. And this is one of those pieces. But do we have a critique of this? Yeah, and that comes in the way of its price tag. Now, before we get to the price tag, I want to ask you guys to please subscribe to our channel. You can click this button right here to subscribe, or you can just wait till the end. There's going to be a little button over here, or just find the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to like and favorite. And now, the price tag that I was talking about. The price tag of this guy is $500. Now, before you go anywhere and go clicking off, the price has since come down. So on the Nike website, in fact, it's $400 right now, and I really hesitate to say that because it's still a lot of money. We have some buy links down in the description, which you can find it for a little bit cheaper. Is it worth it? I don't know. Honestly, if you're using this jacket all the time and you're running in the dark a lot and you've got the money for it, then it's probably worth it for you. But for the average person, dropping $400 on a running jacket, even though it's a running jacket that is just flat out amazing, $400 with the original price tag being $500 is a lot of money. I would recommend that if you're looking for this, that you do a lot of digging. Now again, we've tried to do quite a bit of digging. Again, check the buy links down in the description there, because you're probably going to be able to find it lower pretty soon. From the time we got this jacket to the time we reviewed it, which is about 6 weeks, it's come down that $100 from the time that we got it. So, there are also a lot of other items in the Nike, what they call flash pack, including shoes, their tights, their other tops, and a lot of different pieces from Nike that have this amount of reflectivity on them that are going to keep you visible in the dark. Honestly, I've really loved every second that I spent wearing this jacket, whether I'm running in it, whether I'm wearing it casually, because it makes a great lightweight casual jacket. It's just really just spot on all across the board. Is it worth it? That's really up to you. It's really subjective to the individual, but if you think that it is, I'd love to hear about it. So guys, once again, before we get to our question of the day, don't forget to like and favorite this video and share it with somebody who you think might be interested. And now our question of the day for you guys. Hyperbole aside, well, it would have to come with free hamburgers for life. What would you have to buy a $500 or even $400 running jacket? We'd love to hear your answer down in the comments section below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, and share this video. Share with everyone. Share it on your Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can. We would really enjoy your support. Thank you so much. As always, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them down in the comment section below, or send a question to info@gearist.com. If you have a question for our Ask Gearist series, just put Ask Gearist in the subject line or down at the body somewhere. We'd be happy to answer your question on that series. As always, guys, don't forget to follow us on all of our social media outlets, which you can see right here, including subscribing to us on YouTube. That button right around there somewhere. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Help support Gearist. We've got some gear coming up very soon that you guys are going to be able to buy. Gearist logo swag. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.